I have already uploaded one video related to Unit 9 of UGC Paper 1 syllabus. So it is our second part. Question number 11 is related to environmental issues. It says, which of the following is a consequence of water pollution? Soil erosion, ocean acidification, noise pollution, deforestation. It will be ocean acidification. Then next, impacts of pollutants on human health. This is our topic, and the question is, persistent exposure to high levels of noise pollution can lead to what? Respiratory problems, hearing loss, skin disorders, digestive issues. Okay, it will be hearing loss. You will have hearing impairment. Number 13 is related to natural and energy resource, and it says, which renewable energy source involves harnessing the energy from flowing water? Solar energy, wind energy, hydroelectric power, biomass energy. It is a fundamental question. It will be hydroelectric power. Number 14, natural hazards and disaster. This is the topic, and the question is, what is the primary purpose of disaster preparedness? Predicting disasters, preventing disasters, minimizing the impact of disasters, recovering from disasters. It will be minimizing the impact of disasters. International agreement, this is the topic. The Montreal Protocol primarily addresses the protection of the what? Ozone layer, rainforest, freshwater resources, coral reefs. Okay, so it will be, we all know, ozone layer. This is the primary thing related to Montreal Protocol. 16, climate change. What is the main greenhouse gas responsible for trapping heat in Earth's atmosphere? Carbon dioxide, CO2, methane, CH4, nitrous oxide, N2O, ozone. So number 16, carbon dioxide, CO2 will be correct answer. That is number 1. Next, 17, environmental legislation. Question is, the Kyoto Protocol focus on reducing emissions of what? Carbon dioxide, methane, sulfur dioxide, nitrous oxide. It will be methane, CH4, methane. Next is 18. It is related to sustainable development goals as prescribed in the syllabus, SDGs in short. How many SDGs were adopted by the United Nations? 10, 17, 20, 25. It will be 17. 19, human and environment interaction. This is the subject or topic, and the question is, deforestation is primarily caused by what? Natural disasters, human activities, climate change, volcanic eruptions. Okay, it will be human activities. That is number B. Number 20, related to Environmental Protection Act 1986, it says, the Environmental Impact Assessment, in short EIA, is a crucial component of the Environmental Protection Act and is used for what? Regulating air pollution, assessing the environmental impact of projects, managing noise pollution, protecting biodiversity. It will be assessing the environmental impact of projects. This is their task. Next, 21. Environmental issues. Environmental issue, this is our topic. Now the question will be, so the primary source of indoor air pollution is what? Industrial emissions, vehicle exhaust, household activities, deforestation. It will be household activities. That is number C. Number 22, related to natural and energy resources, it says, which renewable energy source involves converting sunlight into electricity using photovoltaic cells? Wind energy, solar energy, geothermal energy, biomass energy. So it will be solar. Natural hazards and disasters. This is the topic. Question: tsunamis are often triggered by what? Volcanic eruptions, earthquakes under the ocean, hurricane winds, tornadoes. So it will be earthquakes under the ocean. Okay, and tsunami is the ramification of earthquake under the ocean. Next, 24, related to international agreement, it says the Rio Summit, also known as Earth Summit, is focused on what? Climate change, biodiversity, ozone layer protection, desertification. So it it will be biodiversity. Next is climate change. The term greenhouse effect refers to what? Planting more trees to combat climate change, trapping heat in the atmosphere by greenhouse gases, reducing the use of pesticides in agriculture, creating artificial green spaces in urban areas. These are the provided options for you. So it will be trapping heat in the atmosphere by greenhouse gases. Number B will be correct. 26, environmental legislation is what? This is related to environmental legislation. It says the National Action Plan on Climate Change, NAPCC, in India, it aims to do what? Control air pollution, mitigate the impacts of climate change, regulate water pollution, preserve biodiversity. It will be mitigate the impacts of climate change. 27, sustainable development goals. This is the topic, and the question is goal 12 of the SDGs focuses on what? Quality education, responsible consumption and production, gender equality, affordable and clean energy. It will be responsible consumption and production. Then 28, human and environment interaction. So this is the topic, and the question is urbanization is often associated with what? Decreased pollution, increased biodiversity, deforestation, preservation of natural habitats. It will be deforestation, related to number C. Next is Environmental Protection Act 29. It says the precautionary principle is in environmental law suggests that what? A strict penalties should be imposed for environmental violations. Preventive measures should be taken when an activity may harm the environment. Only economic considerations should guide environmental policies. Environmental protection is not a priority. So it will be preventive measures should be taken when an activity may harm the environment. This is called precautionary principle in environmental law. It is related to, next question is environmental issue, and it says eutrophication. It is a process caused by an excess of what? Oxygen in water bodies, nitrogen and phosphorus in water bodies, salinity in soil, have heavy metals in soil. So it will be nitrogen and phosphorus in water bodies. Moving on, it is related to environmental issues. It says acid rain is primarily caused by the emission of what? CO2, NOx, SO2, CS4, O3. So it will be NOx and SO2, nitrogen oxide and sulfur dioxide. 32, impacts of pollutants on human health. This is the topic, and the question is exposure to mercury pollution is most associated with what? Respiratory problems, cardiovascular diseases, neurological disorders, skin disorders. It will be neurological disorders, that is related to brain. Next is 33, related to natural and energy resources. Which renewable energy source is generated from the organic materials for plants and animals? Wind energy, solar energy, biomass energy, hydroelectric energy. Okay, it will be biomass. Biomass energy will be correct. Next is natural hazards and disasters, and the question is a seismometer is an instrument used to measure what? Wind speed, earthquake intensity, atmospheric pressure, temperature variations. So you all know it's a very intrinsic question related to our day-to-day life. It will be earthquake intensity. Next is international agreements. This is the topic, and the question is the Convention on Biological Diversity (CBD). It aims to do what? Combat climate change, conserve biodiversity and promote its sustainable use, and regulate air quality, manage water resources. What do you think? Okay, it will be conserve biodiversity and promote its sustainable use. Next is climate change. Again, methane is considered a potent greenhouse gas and is often released during what? Deforestation, agriculture, livestock digestion, industrial manufacturing, burning fossil fuels. It will be agriculture related to livestock digestion. Next is environmental legislation. So 37, it says the Clear Air Act in the United States primarily addresses the control of what? Water pollution, air pollution, soil pollution, noise pollution. It will be air pollution. Third, it says it is Sustainable Development Goals question. Goal 7 of the SDGs focuses on what? Clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, gender equality, zero hunger. So it is related to affordable and clean energy. So next is human and environment interaction. This is the question, and it says desertification is the process that leads to what? Expansion of forest, conversion of fertile land into deserts, increased rainfall in arid regions, preservation of biodiversity. So it will be related to conservation of not conservation, conversion of fertile land into deserts. It is called desertification. Next, Environmental Protection Act 1986. It says the concept of environmental impact assessment (EIA). It involves what? Monitoring environmental conditions after an activity has taken place. B. Assessing potential environmental effects before a project is undertaken. Setting legal limits on pollutant emissions. Punishing environmental offenders after violations occur. So, what do you think? It will be assessing potential environmental effects before project is undertaken. This we have talked. It is a repeated question. Okay, next is 41. 41. Wait. We have 50 questions. Yes. This topic is environmental issues. The question is the term microplastics. It refers to what? Small organisms in aquatic ecosystems, tiny particles of plastic pollution, microscopic bacteria in soil, miniature wind turbines for energy production. It will be tiny particles of plastic pollution. 42. Impacts of pollutants on human health. Question is, which health issue is associated with prolonged exposure to air pollution in urban areas? Vitamin deficiency, cardiovascular diseases, allergies, osteoporosis. For it, it will be cardiovascular diseases. Cardiovascular means related to health, if I'm not wrong. So next is 43, natural and energy resources. So the question is, In the context of energy transition, what is the role of smart grids? Enhancing communication between appliances, improving the efficiency and reliability of electricity distribution, minimizing the use of renewable energy source, facilitating wildlife conservation. What do you think? It will be reduce, improving the efficiency and reliability of electricity distribution. This will be correct. Next, natural hazards and disasters. It says the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction. It focuses on what? Promoting tourism in disaster prone areas, enhancing early warning systems for tsunamis, reducing disaster risk and increasing resilience, expanding urbanization in earthquake prone zones. So many options. So it will be reducing disaster risk and increasing tsunami resilience. Next is international agreements. It says the Kigali Amendment to the Montreal Protocol. It addresses the phase out of what? Ozone depleting substances, greenhouse gases, marine pollutants, nuclear waste. It will be greenhouse gases. Next, climate change. What is carbon footprint commonly used to measure impact of deforestation on biodiversity, individual or organizational contribution to carbon emissions, efficiency of solar energy production, availability of carbon credits in the market. It will be what? Carbon footprint is related to individual or organizational contribution to carbon emissions. This will be correct. Environmental legislation. The European Green Deal is an initiative aimed at what? Promoting sustainable agriculture, addressing climate change and environmental challenges, reducing air travel emissions, regulating electronic waste. So it will be addressing climate change and environmental challenges. Next is Sustainable Development Goals SDGs. It says Goal 13 of the SDGs focuses on what? Clear water and sanitation, climate action, gender equality, quality education. So it will be climate change. Next, human and environment interaction. It says what is the concept of rebuilding in conservation biology or conservation. In introducing wild animals into urban areas, restoring ecosystems to their natural state by reintroducing native species, creating artificial habitats for endangered species, designing wildlife reserves for ecotourism. So it will be restoring ecosystems to their natural state by reintroducing native species. The question is related to Environmental Protection Act 1986. It says the concept of extended producer responsibility (EPR) in waste management involves what? Consumers taking responsibility for recycling, manufacturers being responsible for the end of life disposal of their products, government agencies managing all aspects of waste disposal, NGOs coordinating waste reduction initiative. So it will be manufacturers being responsible for the end of life disposal of their products. Number B. Question number 51. Wait. Okay, it says it is also related to environmental issues. It says what is the primary environmental concern associated with hydraulic fracturing or fracking, air pollution, soil erosion, noise pollution, microplastic contamination? So it will be air pollution. Next is impacts of pollutants on human health. Question: the term vector-borne diseases refers to illnesses transmitted by what? Contaminated water, airborne pollutants, mosquitoes and ticks, industrial emissions. Okay, it will be mosquitoes and ticks. Next, natural and energy resources is the topic, and the question is which technology is central to the capture and storage of carbon dioxide CCS to mitigate climate change? Solar panels, wind turbines, carbon capture technology, hydroelectric power. It will be carbon capture technology, that is number C. Next is natural hazards and disasters. It says, what is the purpose of the International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction observed on October 13th? Promoting disaster tourism, raising awareness about disaster preparedness, celebrating technological advancement in disaster response, advocating for increased urbanization in disaster prone areas. Natural hazards and disasters, so the answer will be raising awareness about disaster preparedness. Next is it says international agreement. The Nagoya Protocol, it addresses issues related to what? Climate change adaptation, access to genetic resources and the fair sharing of benefits, control of marine pollution, protection of endangered species. So it will be what? It will be carbon capture. No, not carbon capture. It will be access to genetic resources and the fair sharing of benefits. This will be correct. Next, climate change, ocean acidification. I think we have done this. It is a consequence of increased levels of what? Carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxide, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide. Carbon dioxide. Next is environmental legislation. The European Union's Single-Use Plastics Directive aims to do what? Promote the use of single-use plastics, ban all single-use plastic products, regulate the recycling of single-use plastics, encourage the export of single-use plastics to developing countries. It will be regulate the recycling of single-use plastics. SDG goal 11 of the SDGs focuses on what? Affordable and clean energy, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, life below water. So it will be sustainable cities and communities. Next, human and environment interaction. It says the concept of green infrastructure involves what? Building infrastructure with minimal environmental impact, integrating natural elements into urban planning for environmental benefits, using only renewable energy sources for infrastructure development, implementing strict environmental regulations for infrastructure projects. It will be integrating natural elements into urban planning for environmental benefits. Number 60, Environmental Protection Act. The concept of circular economy is aligned with the principles of what? End of pipe solutions, sustainable consumption, environmental deregulation, linear production model. What will be? It will be sustainable consumption. It is done. Now from 61 to 70. Yes. Environmental issues. This is the topic. And the question is greenwashing. It refers to what? Advocacy for environmental causes, misleading claims about environmental benefits of a product or company, promoting the use of green spaces in urban planning, implementing sustainable business practices. Okay, it will be misleading claims about environmental benefits of a product or a company, that is called greenwashing. Second, impacts of pollutants on human health. What health issues associated with exposure to electronic waste, e-waste? Respiratory problems, skin disorders, neurological disorders, cardiovascular diseases. Okay, this will be neurological. Your brain problem will occur if you are not sensitive about electronic waste. Next is natural and energy resources. So this is the topic. The question is, what is the primary environmental concern associated with deep sea mining? Habitat destruction, air pollution, water scarcity, loss of biodiversity. It will be water, habitat destruction. Habitat destruction will be correct. We all know millions of species live underwater. So if you do deep sea mining, they will be obliterated. 64. Natural hazards and disasters. And the question is, the resilience divided in disaster management, it refers to do what? Financial compensation for disaster victims, long-term benefits gained from investment in resilience measures, the economic cost of rebuilding after a disaster, emergency response plans during a disaster. It will be long-term benefits gained from investment in resilience measures. Next, international agreements. It says the Minatma Convention addresses the issue of what? Land degradation, mercury pollution, desertification, greenhouse gas emissions. So it will be mercury pollution. Next, climate change. Climate adaptation refers to what? Mitigating the causes of climate change, adjusting to the existing impacts of climate change, developing technologies for climate control, shifting to renewable energy sources. So this will be adjusting to the existing impacts of climate change. Next, environmental legislation related to law. The right to repair. This is a movement related to what? Consumer rights in repairing electronic devices, industrial emissions reduction, protection of endangered species, regulation of air quality in urban areas. It will be consumer rights in repairing electronic devices. That is related to right to repair. Next, Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. Goal 14 of the SDGs focuses on what? Clean water and sanitation, life below water, sustainable cities and communities, affordable and clean energy. It will be life below water. Life below water. Next, human and environment interaction. Question is, citizen science involves what? Scientific research conducted only by professional scientists, active involvement of the public in scientific research and data collection, banning citizens from accessing scientific information, use of scientific data exclusively for governmental purposes. It will be active involvement of the public in scientific research and data collection. Next, Environmental Protection Act 1986, it says the concept of biodiversity offsetting involves what? Compensating for biodiversity loss in one area by enhancing biodiversity in another, reducing the overall reliance on biodiversity for environmental balance, creating artificial habitats without considering biodiversity conservation, eliminating the need for biodiversity conservation measures. So it will be compensating of biodiversity loss in one area by enhancing biodiversity and in another. Then moving on, next question is 71. It is also related to environmental issues. It says urban heat islands are primarily caused by what? Urban heat islands. Urban heat islands are primarily caused by excessive use of air conditioners, deforestation in urban areas, increased greenhouse gas emissions, overpopulation in cities. It will be increased greenhouse gas emissions, that is number C. Next, impacts of pollutants on human health. It says, what is the potential health risk associated with microplastic contamination in food, cardiovascular diseases, allergies, respiratory problems, and endocrine disruption? So it will be endocrine disruption, that is number D. Next is natural and energy resources. It says, which renewable energy source is often harnessed through the use of tidal turbines? Wind energy, solar energy, tidal energy, biomass energy. We all know tidal energy. It is found in the sea, if I'm not wrong. Next, natural hazards and disasters. The Hyogo framework for action is related to the reduction of risk associated with what? Earthquakes, hurricanes, wildfires, tsunamis. It will be earthquakes, number A. Next is international agreements. The IG targets parts of the Convention on Biological Diversity. It focuses on what? Climate change mitigation, marine conservation, sustainable urbanization, preservation of cultural heritage. So this will be marine conservation. Next, climate change. It says carbon offsetting is a practice that involves what? Capturing and storing carbon emissions, reducing carbon emissions in one area to compensate for emissions elsewhere, increasing carbon emissions to stimulate economic growth, planting more trees to absorb carbon dioxide. It will be reducing carbon emissions in one area to compensate for emissions elsewhere. Next, the concept of cap and trade is often used to regulate what? Water pollution, air pollution, soil erosion, noise pollution. It will be air pollution, that is number B. Next is saying goal 15 of the SDGs focuses on what? Life below water, clean water and sanitation, life on land, gender equality. It will be life on land. Next, what is the primary goal of the Green New Deal in various countries? Reducing greenhouse gas emissions, expanding urbanization, promoting deforestation, deregulating environmental laws. It will be reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Next, Environmental Protection Act is the topic. The concept of blue economy, it emphasizes on what? Sustainable use of marine resources for economic development, expansion of industrial activities in coastal areas, strict regulation of water pollution, restricting access to water resources for economic gain. It will be sustainable use of marine resources for economic development. That is related to blue economy. Okay, wait. Yes, go on. 81. 89, 81. Okay. 81 says, what is the primary environmental concern associated with the use of nicotinoid pesticides? Sorry for the pronunciation. Soil erosion, groundwater contamination, air pollution, loss of biodiversity, especially pollinators. It will be loss of biodiversity and especially pollinators. Next, The sick building syndrome is often linked to what? Noise pollution, indoor air pollution, exposure to electromagnetic fields, prolonged exposure to sunlight. It will be indoor air pollution, sick building syndrome. Next, which renewable energy sources often utilized in concentrated solar power, CSP plants, wind energy, biomass energy, solar energy, geothermal energy? It will be solar energy. Next is 84. It says the Richter scale is used to measure the magnitude of what? Hurricanes, earthquakes, tornadoes, volcanic eruptions. It is earthquakes, we all know. Next is the best convention primarily deals with the control and management of what? Hazardous waste and their disposal, greenhouse gas emissions, ozone depleting substances, transboundary air pollution. It will be hazardous waste and their disposals. Next is adaptation finance refers to funding directed towards what? Reducing carbon emissions, promoting renewable energy projects, supporting measures to adapt to the impacts of climate change, expanding industrial activities. It will be supporting measures to adapt to the impacts of climate change. Next is the clean water rule in the United States is associated with the protection of what? Drinking water sources, coastal ecosystem, underground aquifers, lakes and rivers. What do you think? It will be drinking water sources. Number A will be correct. Next is Sustainable Development Goals. SDGs. Goal 9 of the SDGs focuses on what? Gender equality, industry, innovation and infrastructure, quality education, zero hunger. It will be industry, innovation and infrastructure. Number B. Next, human and environment interaction. Biophilic design in architecture aims to do what? Minimize the use of natural materials, incorporate natural elements to enhance human well-being, maximize energy consumption, promote industrial aesthetics. It will be incorporate natural elements to enhance human well-being. The concept of green bonds is often associated with what? Financing environmentally sustainable projects, reducing emissions from power plants, carbon offsetting initiative, wildlife conservation efforts. It will be financing environmentally sustainable projects. Now from 91 to 100. Okay, wait. What is the primary environmental concern associated with the use of PAR and polyfluoroalkyl, sorry for the pronunciation, substances? PFAS, groundwater contamination, air pollution, soil erosion, ozone depletion. It will be groundwater contamination. That is number A. Next is impacts of pollutants on human health. Prolonged exposure to high level of nitrogen oxide is linked to what? Respiratory problems, cardiovascular diseases, skin disorders, neurological disorders. It will be respiratory problems. Next, which of the following is a non-renewable sources? Wind energy, biomass, coal, solar. Coal will be correct answer. It is a non-renewable. Next, the Fujita scale is used to measure the intensity of what? Tsunamis, tornadoes, hurricane, earthquake. Tornadoes. Next, the Ramsar Convention focuses on the conservation and wise use of what? Biological diversity, wetlands, coral reefs, old growth forest. It will be wetlands. Next, carbon sequestration refers to the process of what? Capturing and storing carbon emissions, reducing the use of carbon-based fuels, increasing carbon emissions for economic growth, enhancing the greenhouse effect. It will be capturing and storing carbon emissions. Environmental legislation, it says the European Union's RESES regulation is aimed at what? Promoting renewable energy, regulating chemicals and ensuring their safe use, protecting marine ecosystems, preventing deforestation. It will be regulating chemicals and ensuring their safe use. Number B. Next, goal 16 of the SDG focuses on what? Clean water and sanitation, peace, justice, and strong institutions, affordable and clean energy, quality education. It will be number B, peace, justification, and strong institutions. Human and environment interaction is the topic. The question is ecotourism is characterized by what? Mass tourism with little regard for environmental impact. Tourism focus on exploring natural environments with conservation in mind. Extreme sports in urban areas. Industrial tourism. It will be tourism focused on exploring natural environments with conservation in mind. 100 and last question. The concept of upcycling in waste management involves what? Breaking down materials for recycling, creating new products of higher value from discarded materials, exporting waste to other countries, burning waste for energy production. It will be creating new products of higher value from discarded materials. That's all. Keep on studying, keep on